Given that everything that science discovers is perceived and mapped out by the human brain, what do you think is greater? The brain, the human brain, or the universe that it recognizes?
Well, first of all, with all due respect, I don't understand what you mean by greater. Is that a value judgment?
Significant, yes. What is more necessary?
Well, it certainly appears to me that the universe's existence is necessary for my existence. That seems to be the case, although who knows? I mean, it could be that I could spontaneously pop into existence without a universe, and maybe I have. But greater is the kind of thing that, it's an irrelevant question. The point is, the human brain is remarkably complex, and we don't understand it. The universe is remarkably beautiful, and we don't fully understand it, which is the joy. The joy of not understanding is what makes life worth living, not the joy of certainty that immortality is potentially finite, or the certainty that there'll be 72 virgins in heaven if you blow up the World Trade Center or something. I mean, that kind of nonsense is what stifles, it seems to me, that what makes being human worth being human is it's the uncertainty, it's the mystery, it's not knowing, and that effort to understand this incredibly complex thing, which I admit, we may never understand. I mean, some people think that, and physicists are the most obnoxious of all scientists. That's true. No, but, well, I'd say that. But just me. Okay.
Do you?
And I may be the most... No, I can say from experience that I'm not the most obnoxious physicist I know. But anyway, although I'm up there. But now you confuse me. But the point is that we don't claim to know everything. That's the whole point. We don't claim certainty, and that's great.
Well, do you claim certainty?
No.
I don't get that.
Are you certain that God exists?
No.
Good.
I mean, this is so crazy, Lawrence. You do this all the time in contrasting science and religion with these false dichotomies.
Well, you demonstrate them.
I think not. I mean, I would say that science and theology are very similar in that they're both on a quest for understanding. Christian faith is not a brain-dead faith. It is a rational, inquiring faith. St. Anselm had a slogan, Fides quaerens intellectum, which means faith seeking understanding. And so, like science, which we as Christians celebrate, theology is also embarked on the process.
I'm going to ask you a question I've asked other theologians. Yeah. I don't think I've ever asked you this question. Maybe I have.
No, but you've asked others.
You know the question. You're prepared for the answer. Good. Good, because I'd like to learn about this, because I've asked a lot of theologians, what contributions to human knowledge has theology provided in the last, say, 300 years? Give me one example. The answer I always get is, what do you mean by knowledge? Now, if I asked a biologist or a chemist or a historian, I get a different answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Theology is the queen of the sciences. The proper object of theology is God. Theology is the study of God. It gives us.
But didn't you say God isn't subject to science? So what, didn't you say science can't? God is not subject to science? Didn't you say God is outside science? So in that case, if theology is study of God, how can it be a science?
Well, let him answer the question, please, because we're not actually going to get anywhere if you're constantly talking over Bill. Please.
Okay. I actually do think we'll get somewhere. We'll get rational definitions.
Okay.
Okay.
Bill,
right.
if you can
I'll
respond,
try to be succinct.
And then we will go to the questions from the floor.
Theology students from Germany often wrestled with the question, is theology a Wissenschaft? That is to say, that's the word for science in German. But what they meant by science was, in the classical sense, scientia, knowledge. And certainly theology is a source of knowledge. It gives us knowledge of God, his existence and nature, what he requires of us, what our moral obligations are to him, how to find eternal life and forgiveness of sins. These, you may not be interested in this, but that doesn't do anything to deny the fact that theology is a scientia. It is a body of truth. It is a body of knowledge, just as much as science is scientia, about the natural world.
And I might also say that in the way that Bill is defining knowledge in this way, you also have redefined something like nothing in your way.
Well, let me say that there's a difference, and that the fact is that if theology gives us knowledge of God, how come different theologies give you different knowledge? I mean, physics that's done in the Islamic world is the same as physics that's done in this world. Balls fall, Newton's laws work. But in fact, theologians of different religions come up with completely inconsistent views of what God is and what eternity is. And so if it really is knowledge, it's very particular to where you grew up.
Well, but you celebrate uncertainty, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
okay. Well,
so what's the why? Just as quantum physicists have at least 10 different physical interpretations of the equations of quantum mechanics.
They're not. The difference is if two scientific ideas are inconsistent, one is right and one is wrong, or they're both wrong.
Yeah.
They're not both right.
But Lawrence, I'm not a relativist. I'm not a pluralist. I think that the same holds for theology.
And you
in
think
fact,
Christianity is right and Islam is wrong.
I am gratified to hear you affirming the law of contradiction here and affirming the laws of logic.
So Islam is wrong.
I do believe that Islam is not fully true, that there are elements of Islam that are false. Now the question is, if it is the case that you can't prove that God does not exist, then you shouldn't be a naturalist. You should be some sort of agnostic or something, but you shouldn't go around saying things like, nature is all there is. There is nothing beyond matter and energy. There is no supernatural reality, because those claims exceed what you yourself say you can prove. So you need to make more modest claims about your position that are more simply agnostic or something, and find a new name rather than naturalism, because that isn't something that you can sustain the burden of proof for.
Nature exists. If there's an argument against that, I haven't heard it. To argue that naturalism therefore is correct simply requires the additional view that none of the positive arguments for supernaturalism work. To declare that supernaturalism cannot be proven false is in itself not a positive argument for supernaturalism.
Now, Dr. Shook, from those two premises, that nature exists and that there is no bridge to a supernatural reality, do you really think that it follows that nature is all there is?
That is the most reasonable conclusion remaining so far.
By what logical rule of inference does that follow? It seems to me that from those two premises, all that follows is we don't know if there is something beyond nature.
Let me try an analogy. Suppose, to see how my reasoning process works, let me try an analogy. Suppose you have a large sum of money you wish to invest, and I'm a broker, and I'm telling you the stock market's going up and up and up and up and up. And you say to me, well, now look, I'm pretty happy with my bank checking account. My money's really safe. Give me several positive good reasons for investing it in the stock market. And I proceed to give you one after another really weak in your judgment argument. And after you get past the third or fourth one, you stop me and you say, no, I'm not going to additionally try to put my money in the stock market. I don't want my money there. You haven't given me enough good reasons.
Gee, now,
the naturalist is somebody who retains belief in nature. This exactly illustrates
my point. That person has not given you reasons to believe the stock market is going up. But that doesn't allow you anyway logically to conclude that therefore the stock market isn't going to go up or that it's going to go down. You simply have to withhold judgment. You see, it seems to me your reasoning here is logically invalid.
No, it's not logically invalid. It's simply conservative. I'm very conservative with my money.
Let's talk.
Let me again try to explain very briefly without taking up your valuable time. Look, suppose your stockbroker said, well, why are you so hesitant to invest money in the stock market? After all, you can't prove that the stock market won't go up. Should you say, well, come a day, I'm getting rich. I can't prove the stock market isn't going up. I'm going to get rich.
Come on, now, look. Dr. Shook,
That's,
Dr. Shook,
that's unwise
Dr.
reasoning,
Shook,
I think.
please, look, let's be serious. The point is, the point is,
I assure you, I'm serious about
from the
money.
lack of evidence that the market will go up, it does not follow that therefore the market will not go up.
I just
but it
agreed
doesn't
to that,
follow
yes.
that it's going to go down.
I agree
and
with
yet
that point entirely.
naturalism is the view that there is nothing beyond the physical world on your definition, and you admit you cannot prove that by reason, science, and experience.
You're manipulating words. A naturalist is convinced that nature exists. Okay?
So am I.
You're asking the naturalist to additionally believe in the existence of the supernatural, and the naturalist is simply saying, give me some good enough positive arguments.
That's not
Now,
the
we've
definition
gone
of
back and forth
naturalism you
on the-
give. Your
sorry?
definition of naturalism is that there's nothing beyond the physical world, that there's nothing in addition to matter and energy. There are no supernatural realities. And the absence of evidence for those leaves you at best with agnosticism, not with naturalism. Naturalism cannot establish its own
it's-
worldview.
Quite right. It's unfortunate that we're back to debating terminology instead of reality. This business of agnosticism is a bit odd. Suppose I were to say, the reason why I don't believe in the supernatural is because, I have not enough good reasons to believe in it. Now, does this make me an agnostic or an atheist? In a weird sort of way, I'm both. They're not necessarily mutually exclusive terms. An agnostic is somebody who cannot prove that supernaturalism is false, but again, that in and of itself is not a positive reason to go ahead and jump into the
But
camp
has
and
anybody
think you're gonna
offered in
land on
tonight's
something.
debate the claim that because you can't show supernaturalism to be false, therefore you should believe in supernaturalism? Who has argued that tonight?
Well,
Nobody. I've given five
When I
positive
hear
arguments
you-
for
you have
supernaturalism,
tonight,
and we've not heard any positive arguments for naturalism. All you have said is that my arguments fail, but that doesn't serve to establish that the material world is the only reality there is. There could be something beyond it.
there could be something beyond it, and I've already
All
told
right.
you it might be more nature. For all you know or anybody
That's
knows,
self-contradictory.
I don't need the
If it's
supernatural.
more nature, it's not beyond it. Right? That's a self-contradiction, friends. Those who say that there may be more nature beyond it, it's still nature. That doesn't say there is something beyond nature.